Hello everyone and welcome to IoT 206, Building the Future of Connected Homes with AWS IoT. My name is Mary Miller and I'm a worldwide go-to-market specialist with AWS IoT. And I'm really excited to be joined here today by one of our customers, Traeger Grills. With me from Traeger is Bart Strong, who's the Director of Digital Product Management, and Ryan Tarver, who's the Director of Cloud, IoT, and Data. First, I'm going to talk about how smart home products have been evolving and how AWS IoT helps builders on this connected product journey. And then we'll hear Traeger share their own story of building and scaling their connected Wi-Fi or grills. At the end of the session, you'll have an understanding of how managed services and AWS IoT can help you accelerate and scale your own product innovation. Last year, we spent time talking about the evolution of products. We understand that as device builders, you are tasked with constant iteration and innovation. And as we meet with device manufacturers, we find that companies typically fall into one of three categories today. First, maybe you're building a new product, whether that's to evolve or even disrupt an existing product that doesn't have connectivity. So think of like a pet collar. Second, maybe you've been creating electronic products for a while. Maybe that product even has a microcontroller, but you haven't yet added connectivity and you're looking to do so. And then there's companies that may have been doing IoT for a while and have a fleet of connected devices, but you're looking to scale more efficiently or take the next step and make those devices smarter. And depending on which phase a builder starts out in, we see an evolution in the way connected products are built and deployed. Devices are connected to the cloud and you can enable basic command and control and data ingestion. And as more and more devices come online, builders manage and secure entire fleets, enable performance monitoring, and updating devices over the air. And taking it a step further, you might want to make that device smarter or begin to introduce new features to your customers. And of course, throughout this whole journey, product builders have to think about scale. Not just how do I get started today, but how do I scale from hundreds or thousands to hundreds of thousands or millions of devices? How do I enable my team to continue to add functionality and intelligence? How do I do all this with the resources I have? And how do I manage costs all while driving greater performance efficiency? And the output of this connectivity and this scale and the evolution to connected devices, intelligent connected products, is that companies are typically able to create new business models and revenue streams, and that's your competitive differentiator. So as that journey is happening on the product side, product builders go through an evolution too. If you're a connected product builder, your mission is growth, right? So your goal is more customers using more of your devices to do more things. So from the outset, you've got a plan to enable that scale. You've got a plan to build in such a way that you spend your time figuring out how to deliver new experiences to customers, not managing device fleets and operations. The way you enable that scale is through managed services that allow you to offload infrastructure operations so you can direct resources towards differentiating your business. AWS IoT provides managed services for many critical IoT functions, and we're introducing new capabilities every day. So when you think about your journey, you're going to want to start from the beginning thinking about AWS IoT. Now, not everyone is going to start from the same place. Some of you may be in this first camp where you're starting out with minimal IoT experience, and you might be familiar with embedded development, but not cloud computing, or the reverse, right? Familiar with cloud computing, but not embedded development. Or you might be looking to develop all of these skills, and so you could spend a lot of time doing that. And you're asking things like, what kind of chipset will I use? How do I add connectivity? How do I command and control my devices? If you're here, you're in the fortunate position that you can actually begin your journey planning an architecture around managed services. Some builders may be in a position where you've already adopted basic cloud or IoT services or built your own, but you might be spending most of your time maintaining that system, right? So you're more focused on infrastructure and resource management. Maybe that means you're using manual processes to manage devices and make updates. You might be asking, how do I manage my fleet of devices more efficiently? How do I monitor performance? How do I send updates over the air? How do I secure all my devices? If you're at this stage, AWS IoT makes it easy to adopt our services or to migrate to our services. And you're actually going to hear from Traeger Grills, who did just that in the second half of this presentation. And finally, some builders might already be leveraging managed services. And if you're in this group, you're getting better at scaling devices and security and updates. Serverless computing is freeing up your time to write applications instead of managing instances. And ideally, you're spending more time focusing on the end-to-end customer journey and building those experiences that you want to create for customers. So that can be, adding intelligence to your devices, offering new features, maybe enabling predictive maintenance through machine learning. So I'd like to share a few examples of customers who have gone through this evolution and continue to grow on AWS IoT. Vizio manages millions of TVs on AWS IoT, and throughout their journey, they've continued to add new capabilities around analytics, and they've also implemented Alexa voice functionality. iRobot launched the first connected Roomba in 2015, and they actually shifted their platform to AWS IoT shortly after they realized they needed to be able to build and run their smart home applications without managing servers. Last year, iRobot surpassed 30 million devices sold, and they handled holiday spikes of over 20 times their normal traffic using AWS IoT. Electronic Caregiver is improving the way patients get care in their homes by deploying machine learning models onto devices using AWS IoT Greengrass. And finally, when it came time to build their Instinct light switch, iDevices wanted to push the envelope even further by including Alexa voice control directly on the product. And with AWS IoT, they were able to do that, and they brought their product to market in just 4 months. That's compared to the 12 to 18 month cycles that they had seen previously. We're proud of what these customers have been able to achieve, and there are similar experiences from many connected product makers in virtually every home segment around the world. Based on the strength of our platform and the success of our customers, AWS IoT was named the best consumer IoT solution at IoT World 2020. And as we carry that momentum forward this year, we look to the future to see how these products and experiences will continue to evolve. Here's what we think. First, products will continue to become predictive, so homes will anticipate their owners' needs. Second, products will become more and more automated as they respond to owners' needs or personal preferences before even being prompted. And of course, the cycle of innovation and iteration will become continuous as connected products are able to constantly improve and offer new experiences to consumers. My guess is actually that none of these predictions will surprise you. As the builders of this future, you are tasked with bringing these experiences to bear, and you likely have your own detailed predictions of what your customers will want and expect next. And you're going to want to plan for how you enable those capabilities. So, for example, how quickly are your device fleets going to grow? Will you have a diversity of hardware or products within those fleets? How will you onboard those devices? How will you update them and secure them? How quickly will those devices need to respond in the field? And these are just a few things that it's important to consider as you look towards building this future. And this is where AWS IoT comes in. We think about IoT by asking 3 fundamental questions. First, how can I build devices that operate at the edge? Then how can I control, manage, and secure those devices at scale? And of course, the reason why you do the first 2 things, how can I make sense of my IoT data and take appropriate action? So these are the managed services within the AWS IoT suite that provide that undifferentiated heavy lifting at each stage of the IoT cycle. We think about these services as a circle, not as a traditional application stack. So you have devices that sense and collect and send data to the cloud using AWS IoT device software. In the cloud, you have connectivity and control services that help you manage and secure those devices. And you can then use analytics services to extract insight from that data, which you can in turn use to build intelligent machine learning models. And you can then deploy machine learning models back onto the devices and take local action. And now these devices can act in a more intelligent way, which gives you more sensing and generates more data to send back to the cloud and make sense of. And you keep doing that continuously, and devices get more intelligent over time. This is what we call the IoT virtuous cycle, and it enables the continuous evolution that you as product builders have to achieve. As I mentioned earlier, this suite of services is recognized as the best consumer IoT solution, and the individual managed services that make up this suite are also award-winning. For example, AWS IoT Device Defender was named the best IoT security solution by IoT World in 2019. Okay, here's an example of how these services are used in a connected product architecture. On the left-hand side, you've got your things, your connected devices. Smaller devices, so things like light bulbs, door locks, or thermostats, will typically run FreeRTOS, while larger devices like a security camera or a router or a gateway will run AWS IoT Greengrass. Now, your FreeRTOS devices can also connect to your AWS IoT Greengrass devices and form a local network so that they can all continue operating even if they lose connectivity. And you can use machine learning models to deploy them to your Greengrass device. So in this example, say you want to enable that security camera to detect when a friend has arrived and unlock the door, all while sending a communication to your mobile app to let you know that they've arrived. If you want to integrate voice functionality, the Alexa voice service integration enables you to integrate Alexa with those microcontroller-based devices while offloading the memory and compute tasks to the cloud. That actually reduces the e-bill of materials cost by up to 50% and provides a cost-effective way for you to include Alexa functionality with your products. Moving to the right, you've got cloud services. AWS IoT Core is our message broker and rules engine, but it also allows you to provision, manage, and secure devices at scale. With AWS IoT Device Management, you can easily register a fleet of devices at once with bulk certificate registration. You can group that fleet into categories or hierarchies, and you can then query those groups and aggregate devices using fleet indexing. And with jobs, you can push software and firmware updates to devices in the field over the air. As you ingest data, you can process that data and use it to take action on the device. So, for example, with AWS IoT Device Defender, you can continuously audit your IoT configurations. With AWS IoT Events, you can create alerts that trigger action. And you can use AWS IoT Analytics to filter, transform, and enrich IoT data before you store it in a time series database for analysis. And then all the way on the right, your connected products integrate and interact with users, whether that's through mobile devices, the AWS console, or third-party APIs. So as your device fleets grow to the thousands or millions, all of those capabilities that we covered that are required to manage and secure those devices, that grows exponentially too. And that's not including the resources you'll need to keep introducing new capabilities and keep building more and more features. So we found, or actually our customers have found, that building all of those IoT machine learning and data capabilities on your own, the choice is often not feasible, whether that's from an economic standpoint or a resource standpoint. No matter where you are on that journey, AWS IoT provides services and solutions to help you scale efficiently. So if you're just getting started, we can help you choose a qualified chipset or device with our AWS Partner Device Catalog. And we provide device software that helps you connect those devices quickly and securely. If you're looking to scale, we help you onboard, secure, and manage fleets, detect anomalies, and update devices over the air. And all the while, as you incorporate these services in your product architecture, you free up developer time to focus on building new experiences and writing applications. And so then your developers can focus on adding things like voice control with the Alexa voice service integration, or building machine learning models so you can perform complex actions like predictive maintenance or condition monitoring. And of course, AWS IoT partners are available at every stage to assist you should you want that support. To sum this up, AWS IoT frees you up to focus on your core business, building the products and experiences that your consumers love. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Traeger Grills to tell you their own story of using AWS and AWS IoT.
Hi, I'm Bart Strong. I'm the Director of Digital Product Management at Traeger. I'm so excited to be here today and super thankful to AWS for inviting Traeger to come tell our story. So Traeger is the original pellet grill. Traeger was invented over 30 years ago. And in 2014, our current CEO, Jeremy Andrus, formerly of Skullcandy, took over Traeger and turned it into the brand it is today. Before that time, it was a great product with little direction. The invention of the pellet grill was the first real disruption to the barbecue industry since the introduction of propane. The next big disruption came when Traeger released our first Wi-Fi or IoT grill in 2017. When Traeger first launched Wi-Fi, we weren't on AWS. We had put together a platform using several software and cloud solutions. We quickly realized that this would not scale, and we decided to migrate to another cloud solution. Our second solution, it was okay, but still wasn't a complete solution. We had the broker in one system, user authentication in another, user management in another, and all of our data was even in another system. Moving to AWS has been one of the best decisions we have made. AWS has consolidated all of our technologies into a single place, allowing us to gain efficiencies and really focus on our customer experience. I now get to dream big, and as a product manager, this is the greatest place to be. Prior to AWS, it took us sometimes days to get some basic analytics. During a cooking cycle, we get about a message every 3 seconds. So if you think of those long 12 to 24-hour cooks, the number of messages adds up very quickly. This amount of data quickly rules out using traditional data storage solutions. With our AWS implementation, we've been able to take queries that were taking hours to return down to seconds. This allows Traeger to create a dashboard and make decisions very quickly. So why did Traeger decide to connect a grill? At Traeger, we believe in bringing friends and family together around great food and memorable experiences. The Wi-Fi technology connects grills to the cloud to make cooking easier by providing the ability to check in, monitor, and control your grill. It simplifies the customer experience, enabling flexibility and control to do this anywhere, anytime. So before Wi-Fi, we really didn't understand our customers and how they were using our grills. Today, we have all this data that is helping us improve the entire cooking experience, from the initial prep to the final cleanup. So Traeger is typically seen as a smoker. Although our grills are capable of cooking just about everything, this type of cooking usually is done at low temperatures for long periods of time. This means that you are tied to your grill for hours at a time. Connecting to your grill now means you are free to leave the grill and monitor your cook from anywhere, like your kid's soccer game or the store or anywhere you might actually need to go. So another great feature is Traeger has over 1,300 recipes available in our app. With the simple press of a button, these cooking instructions for that recipe are sent to your grill, where the grill now takes over and manages each step of the cooking process. Having an IoT grill also means that you can be notified when you need to stop and go check on your food and see how it's coming. Another really great feature is our integration with Alexa. It means that it's easy to operate your grill when your hands are full or dirty. Imagine standing in your kitchen, prepping your food, and having the option to ask Alexa, when will my food be done? At Traeger, we have made that idea a reality with our partnership with AWS and Alexa. Another reason we wanted to connect a grill is personalization. Knowing how and when a grill is used allows Traeger to recommend and suggest when to purchase pellets, what recipes you may like, and even how and when to clean or care for your grill. Traeger does extensive testing on every grill before it goes to the mass production, but because our grills are outdoors, we can't always simulate all those conditions. So having the ability to get data from grills all over the world makes it so that we can take this data and tune each one of the grills to perform better. These are just a few of the benefits. Our digital and product roadmap are full of new ways we can take advantage of the AWS platform to improve all aspects of the cooking experience. Like I mentioned before, we introduced Wi-Fi technology in 2017, but this was only available to our top-of-the-line grill. In 2019, we released this technology in more of our grills, taking it from the top-tier grills down to the everyday grill, making Wi-Fi more accessible to all of our customers. Then, in 2020, we added Wi-Fi to our Costco line of grills, once again expanding the number of Traeger customers that can benefit from a connected cooking experience. Wi-Fi has become an important feature to our customers. This feature is often a key factor in deciding what grill to purchase, and I've heard it firsthand from many of our customers that this was the deciding factor. I'm really excited about our partnership with AWS and the future roadmap it holds. We have many great ideas and many great things to come. And now I'm going to turn the time over to Ryan Tarver, who will be talking about Traeger's AWS implementation.
Hi, I'm Ryan Tarver, Director of Cloud, IoT, and Data for Traeger. Let's recap real quick what we've covered. Traeger's this amazing brand with world-class teams in product, sales, marketing, and many others, all with a consistent track record of delivering an amazing customer experience year after year. Now, in order to assist and accelerate what these teams have accomplished, this new discipline of digital experience has been underway to disrupt the industry. So how do you plan and execute a digital experience in order to enhance that organization's pedigree of excellence? Let's get into our details of where we started and where we're going. As you begin to break down this value proposition of creating new platforms from scratch and/or a migration, here are some of the things that need to be considered. The scalability. This includes your infrastructure, services, applications, data insights, and so on. All the short-term and long-term requirements need to be considered. Your production migration. Any new platform or experience needs to include plans not only to migrate users to the new platform, but also not affect the experience in the negative way that you currently have. The platform. This is basic questions like on-premise, single or multi-cloud, security, which includes compliance and data privacy, single region or multi-region if you're an international brand, all need to be factors as well. Your costs. You really want to partner with AWS and your finance teams to ensure every step of your architecture, engineering, and your deployment are considered with the overhead. Availability and reliability is huge. You really should rely on AWS, the managed services, serverless capabilities, and all the modern architectures to automate as much as possible. Now, with all these things considered, a very big challenge will be finding the right professionals to lead these efforts. Your leaders need to be experts with marketing technology, traditional IT, cloud, web, mobile, data, product management, and even customer experience. Finding all of that in one is a very tall order. Once you have your leaders, They then need to recruit and mentor tactical delivery experts to build this new ecosystem in just a few short months, when other teams and historical projects may take years. Now, it's not just about the base platform provider that you're going to want to look for, but also what they bring in terms of managed and complementary services and the tools that come with that provider. The overwhelming leader in this cloud space, we all know, is AWS. There will also be gaps and economies of scale to capture with the right professional services group. So Traeger was pleased to find a group called OST that are AWS and IoT experts. Through them, we found many others to help augment our teams as well. Let's get into our platform. The digital experience team was asked to build a brand new IoT platform and a data lake in just 3 short months. These 2 platforms needed to be available and run in parallel to the legacy system from day 1 of the launch, and then persist until all the users migrated months later. Now, if that timeline isn't shocking enough, over the next 3 months, the digital experience team was then asked to launch a new website and 2 new mobile apps. Completely new platforms, frameworks, code base, and user experience. So within 6 months of the digital experience team starting at Traeger, all 4 platforms were launched and running at scale, not just to service the current millions of customers, but enable Traeger to now scale with exponential growth of the company. None of this would have been remotely possible without the competitive advantage AWS brings, and an extremely small digital experience team and a very small professional services footprint was able to deliver 4 world-class platforms to match the brand of excellence Traeger has shown year in and year out. Well, here's the high-level AWS architecture that we deployed to service the IoT platform. We focused heavily on managed services that are serverless. Our Grill's firmware sends a secure message to AWS IoT Core, and then it routes and triggers hundreds of services and pipelines to connect all 4 platforms in order to give users updates, as well as that command and control back to the grills. This architecture can scale to service tens of thousands to tens of millions of devices, all with event-driven requirements. This really is the engine or the spinal cord of the ecosystem. The platform itself is extremely complex and important. However, you need to consider how to deliver the complete digital experience. Integrating the mobile apps and the website are key factors, but there is a lingering question. What do you do with all this data? You quickly run into traditional big data problems, cost issues, and time of delivery for those insights. Here's a high level of what the data lake architecture looks like in AWS, and these fulfill all the needs from IoT. Again, we focus heavily on managed services that are serverless, and the secret really isn't in which services to use, but how do you configure and orchestrate all these tools together in concert. You'll quickly need to service analytics requests for event-driven data, as well as historical data at rest. Now, this architecture allows you to do both, and it's at minimal cost without sacrificing performance. And honestly, in some cases, it will increase performance. Well, here's the growth. We started down in 2019 with our digital experience journey of launching and planning these new platforms. And you can see how fast our data footprint grows in terms of volume transactions. One of the most amazing things about partnering with AWS is the cost and economies of scale over time. We're really excited to continue that excellence of delivering digital experience as we grow and our platforms scale out. Now, is Traeger just a brand, sales, and durable product company anymore? Our current and future state shows us worthy of being a world-class digital company as well now. All of the Traeger teams work as a unified group in order to deliver the ultimate customer experience in this industry. All made possible because of our decision and ongoing partnership with AWS. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share our AWS story. I'll hand it back to you, Mary.
Bart and Ryan, thank you for sharing your story. Hearing you guys talk about your experience, it really illuminates how product makers can innovate and scale without sacrificing performance or efficiency. If you're watching this at home and you want to learn more, we've got a ton of resources to help you learn and get started. Just follow the links on the screen. And of course, please remember to take the survey after the session and let us know what you think.